Welcome to the Local Insider Podcast, a show about everyday people who make a big difference.
Jason Massey, welcome back to the show.
All right. Hey, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
One of the reasons I thought it was time to have you back on is I think we may have a re-election coming up, or an election coming up. Is it 2026?
Yes. The Republican primary is in March, I believe March 3rd, and then the general election's in November next year.
So in the sheriff race, is that a partisan race, or is it kind of like the judicial race where there's no?
No, it is a partisan race.
It is,
so,
okay.
So the primary will be in March.
Okay. And typically, the latest trend is the Republican primary. Normally, that's where the victor is chosen. And lately, the Democrats are not as likely to be voted in the general election here. So, do you expect any contenders or anybody to try to step up on the Republican side? Yeah.
Yes.
Is it anybody that we might know?
Same person ran against me last time I know of so far, and I don't know of anybody else.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. So, I mean, you've definitely proven yourself in the sheriff capacity. Crime's down. From everywhere I sit, it looks like you're a really good fit there. I don't remember any campaign promises that you made, but I knew that you just said that you would run the department more efficiently, and you would communicate with areas, if I remember correctly, when you were on last time. And I think you've done all that. There's not an event that happens in Logan County that is for the greater public, that I don't see somebody from the Logan County Sheriff's Office there.
Yes, we strive very much for community engagement. I mean, this is a small county, 21,000 people, but we want people to know that we're there. I mean, that's why we're at the festivals and meetings. Anytime we're asked to come, either I come or one of my command staff comes, because we want to listen to people. We want to know what's going on. And this is, I guess, in today's climate, people want to know, and it's a lot different. When we grew up, when a lot of times when our parents would tell us to do something, and they would look at you and say, "Because I told you so."
Right.
I'm your mother, I'm your father, and I told you to do it. And it's not like it is anymore. People want to know because the information's out there. It's moving. It's 24 hours. I mean, it's everywhere. So we try to get the information out there. We have a great Facebook page, which has a lot of followers because we post a lot of stuff. We also have a website that has our inmate list. It has who's been arrested the past 24 hours or 48 hours.
That's very popular.
and that's, and it's really good with that because if they get arrested and bond out, you still know they're in there.
Right.
And then we also have...
That's a good deterrent also, because you're like, man, I don't want to end up with my face in the...
It is a good deterrent. And one thing I like about it is people can get out and they know that when I say us, it's not just us. It's the Paris Police Department, Boonville Police Department, State Police. They know that we're doing our jobs because they can get onto our website and they can see what charges they are being arrested under, and then who's been arrested. So with that, we try to get out there and talk to people and find out what's going on and pay attention to trends.
Rice Lawn Care and Tree Services, your trusted partner for tree care in Boonville and surrounding areas. Specializing in expert tree care and removal, they handle every job with precision. Stacy in Boonville said, Kevin and his crew did an excellent job removing 3 trees. Great price and quality work. Highly recommend. From hazardous tree removals to routine maintenance, they've got you covered. Serving Boonville and the surrounding communities with honest service and competitive prices. Call Rice Lawn Care and Tree Services today at 479-206-1582 for a free tree consultation.
One of the things that I found out about you when you were on last time was that you're also an attorney. You went to law school, right?
Yes.
How does that better equip you to do the job you're doing now?
I think one of the number one things is it's a thirst for knowledge, because I always want to know about a topic. When you go through undergrad, which is 4 years, which I did at Lyon College at Batesville, then I went to law school in University of Arkansas at Little Rock back 1998 through 2001. I graduated in 2001. Is you start learning to look at both sides of an issue. I mean, that's the main thing with you learn at law school, is taking an issue and trying to look at it every side and see how that plugs into the law. And so you want to look at all things. So, being a sheriff, being law enforcement, always trying to look at all different angles, because everyone has their own personal story. That's one thing we always learn. There's so many times that when we show up on whether it's a fight or some type of domestic altercation or something, it's usually two sides that aren't communicating well with each other, and that communication is not satisfying the party. So we always tell our deputies and law enforcement, hey, get there, you got to listen. Right. A lot of times they just want to be listened to. A lot of times it's just people that something's wrong and their partner is not paying attention, and there's not a good communication there, and that's what drives that. So yeah, it's that, and it's just having a knowledge of the law and paying attention to updates. That's one thing I pay attention a lot to. I pay attention to what a legislator does through the sessions. I'm very involved with the Arkansas Sheriff Association, which we in fact, I'm on got elected by the other 74 sheriffs to get on the executive board, and there's only 8 of us out of 75, but we do a lot of work with the legislator on laws, drafting laws, looking for if there's bills that we see unintended side effects with that. We go talk, so we go and testify, and we work with our legislators. So it's been a good thing. So being an attorney has really helped. And it is kind of ironic that, most of my time has been as a law enforcement officer, but I value both of those professions, because it's helped me be in a lot better place. I mean, I'm always ready to talk about law enforcement. I'm always ready to argue for law enforcement. I don't mind being put on the stand for something. Sure. I just go in there and go with it. I try to take what I've learned. But the great thing is just what I have around me. We got a lot of good people here. We've got a lot of people who I work with at the sheriff's office, our team. We got a lot of great people at the Boonville and Paris police departments, our state police, and our prosecuting attorney's office. And we're just always communicating, talking, working. And that's another thing that my law degree has helped in. It's just I'm used to talking to people and gathering information.
Shelter Insurance, this is Charles.
Afternoon, Charles.
Joshua?
Does Shelter Insurance cover shiny red cars?
Yeah.
What about purple vans?
Also, yes.
Monster trucks?
You know we offer car insurance, son. What's going on?
I'm still mad at you.
From shiny red cars to purple minivans, you can count on Shelter's local agents and award-winning customer service to help you protect what matters most.
Contact Arkansas Agent of the Year Baker Shelter Insurance at 479-675-6782.
Also, it seems like it would better equip you to train your officers. The First Amendment auditors are a huge thing on YouTube now. There's so many of them, and everybody with a cell phone wants to be a First Amendment auditor now. And where they get these local municipalities and counties and things is where the officers aren't trained and they don't know the law, and they go up to somebody and, they may be from the old school where you do what I say because I said, not because that's the law, and they get trapped, and they fall right into the trap that the First Amendment auditor has set for them, because the First Amendment auditor's done thousands of hours of research watching these videos, and although the officer has thousands of hours on the force, like you said, you have to stay up to date on this stuff.
Yes.
Specifically when it comes to our constitutional rights, because if you get yourself in a situation where you're infringing on somebody's rights, then you're putting your county or your municipality, on the hook for a substantial lawsuit. So I think that's a really good thing to have in a sheriff, is somebody that knows the law and keeps up with it, and so that way they can better inform their force.
Yeah, that's an issue we've talked about. I mean, we have monthly deputy meetings that we'll cover laws and we'll cover topics. And it's just like I tell our deputies, look, you wear a camera
Mm-hmm.
and you turn it on. So there's no issue with the civilian or citizen wearing a camera
Mm-hmm.
or holding a camera and turn it on. It's the same thing. So
Right.
you have to look at that as both sides. While we have body cameras, that helps protect us in complaints. Believe me, it has. Because
bet.
we've had people complain. We went back, look at the body camera, it hadn't been that. But we've also looked at the body camera to substantiated claims too. It's a very good thing for us to wear cameras. But I just remind our folks over and over, if we wear them, they wear them.
Right.
And there's no issue with that. You just have to be, you got to make sure that your scene is safe.
Right.
But if they're close, if they're not disturbing, then what's the issue?
Right.
Just because there's so much going on. There's doorbell cameras. There's all kinds of people with cameras mounted in their vehicles.
Right.
And so there's people with hidden cameras on them. So you have to kind of think about most of what you do is probably being recorded.
Right.
And that's a good thing, because if you're reminded of that, hopefully that puts a fence around your conduct the same way it does someone else who knows when they're recorded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now the trend you're seeing is it looks like the officers are, they're on board and they're all okay with people recording and thing. You don't really see anybody giving, and you might find somebody way down in Georgia that maybe that has a flip phone and doesn't know anything about the new technology who will give somebody some trouble. But now what you're seeing is citizens like complaining, and they'll call the police. And of course, if you're called, you got to show up and you got to write a report. And you're seeing citizens saying, "Hey, I didn't give him permission." They have this expectation of privacy in a public space somehow, and think that you have to get their consent to record them. And so a lot of what I'm seeing now is officers having to communicate with the public, "Hey, this is actually, something that's protected. You're in public." Now, if he's going into your house and doing that, it's a little different thing. But have you seen any of that locally, or?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that some, but I think that just the way with social media is, I think people are getting educated pretty quickly that the fact that if you're in a public place, you're most likely being recorded anyways.
Right.
And that's what I tell people. You're most likely being recorded anyways.
Even in your home, you're most likely being recorded with
Yes.
all the technology and cameras on computers, and some people have cameras in every room of their home.
Yeah.
I just recently heard about some legislation. This is kind of off topic. One of my friends said that there was legislation proposed or that was in the works to put cameras inside of nursing home rooms. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. I mean, that's their home. They should have the same expectation of privacy as we all do. And they were just asking me what I thought about it. I was like, I don't like it. If they want it, it's theirs. That's on them. But to force it on somebody, that'd be like if you live in an apartment building, they make you sign a waiver saying they can record you the whole time you're at home.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that.
No.
So I agree. You have to have that expectation of privacy.
So you've been serving Logan County for several years. What, since 2019? Is that when you started?
Yeah. Well, I started at the sheriff's office at the very end of 2007.
Oh,
December
wow.
2007 is when I came aboard as a patrol deputy, and I was elected. And I worked as a patrol deputy, an investigator, supervisor, jail administrator a little bit, and then I was elected sheriff in 2018 and took over on January 1st, 2019. So I've been the elected sheriff since January 1st, 2019, but I've been a member of this office since the end of 2007.
Wow, it's quite a span. So how's your experience specifically as a supervisor in the CID? How has that shaped your approach in leading the department?
Well, just being a part of the sheriff's office for that long, I guess a lot of my leadership training just came through that. But all I've done, I was before 2007. I also worked at the Saline County Sheriff's Office out down in Benton when we lived down there for a little while, and I was a captain there. So I had a lot of leadership experience and training there. The thing about it is, what I've learned is everybody has their own interest and they have what they're good at. So I try to find out what people are good at and what they enjoy doing, especially when it comes to training and things like that, to keep them interested and by putting them in those positions where they can do that. Unfortunately, we are a small agency, so there's not a lot of places to go as far as different, whether you're an investigator, patrol deputy, or a civil process. And we're not like a major agency where you have all these divisions and you can move around and do this or that. But we still try the best we can to put people where they enjoy doing it. They like doing tactics. They like getting involved in more of the active shooter training and things like that. Or do they like investigations, or do they like? And so we'll send them to training. We do a lot of training, and we focus a lot of training at the sheriff's office because we want our people to be ready in case of events. And it's something we've done. When I took over, I'm saying just like a good example is the fact that Arkansas requires us to qualify once a year with our firearms. It's a 50-shot course, same course everybody does. You got to shoot from the 3, the 7, and the 15-yard line. But the problem is you're not training in a combat situation. You're just shooting in a situation that's the same course every year. So we added 2 more shoots. So we actually do 3 a year. We do 2 that are combat related. Then we do 1 that's the required qualification every year. We have Charlie Edmondson, who's a retired state trooper, who works for us as a deputy, and he puts the courses together. And so we're always looking at things like that. Right now, we're doing a lot of active shooter training right now, and just doing practicing with teams of 1, 2, 3. Learning how to just practicing clearing rooms, muscle memory, doing it over and over again.
And that's all like CQB training, where what do you stack up? You have a guy with a shield and somebody in the
kind of, but the way that schools, the school have changed. With all the different mass incidents that we've had in schools since. Columbine was kind of like the eye opener. Columbine, when that happened, the SWAT team, they all got there and they waited till everybody got there and then they went in. And it was recognized after that you can't do that anymore. You can't, even though it's safer for law enforcement that way, it's not safer for the kids that are waiting on someone to come in there and help. So over the years, they've just focused on when you get there, you go. Right. And if you're by yourself, you're by yourself. And so that's kind of what we focus on. We'll focus on going in by yourself. We're going to focus with 2-man teams, 3-man teams. We also have a focus on, because all of our school districts, we have 6 total. We have 5 public and we have Subiaco. They all have what's called the concealed carry security officers. So they all of them have people who are armed in their schools. So we also work with how we're going to work with them, because they're going to be there first because they're there. They're going to know the school more than we are because they work there. They're going to know the kids better than we are because they work there. And so that's a lot of our emphasis on our training too, is what to do with the CCSOs that are on school and working with them. So it's been really good. We have a lot of good school districts here in Logan County that want to protect their kids. And I know that sometimes people say, well, you're arming teachers, you're arming staff, and that's not a good thing. Which I can understand that, because a teacher's job is to teach, but a teacher's job is also to protect. School staff is also to protect. And as we see, some of these school shootings just happen out of nowhere. Right. And so, and I've seen the training that they get, and it's intense. These folks, they work at it. They have professionals come in every summer, and they'll get the simunition rounds out and shoot, they'll work out scenarios in hallways. So this isn't just handing a gun to a school staff member or teacher. This is training.
It's like getting ready for a John Wick film.
And and believe me, man, I wish, I wish that we were at a point in our history where schools were just schools, and all the kids had to worry about was to go and have fun and learn and meet people. But that's just not where we're at right now. And so, but that's just part of our training. And we have very good cooperation with all the school districts, all the superintendents. Everyone wants to work together. We know that this can happen here, much as it can happen anywhere else. And so that's one of our focuses on training, is that.
Personally, I've tried to think of a reason why you wouldn't want a teacher to have a weapon, because they're required to have it on them. They can't store it somewhere in the school, right, to where a kid can get it.
Well, they can. I'm sure there's some schools that probably have some lockers that are that they can go do that. But yeah, a lot of them, I would think that they would have them on them, not only to keep them out of kid, but to be ready to use them in case of circumstance happen, because stuff moves so quick.
And I guess what people don't realize is that when you're in battle, you have to have equal force, or you're just a victim. And if you don't have the equal force, then we've seen what happens. Well, just recently, was it in Kentucky where the deacon ran over the guy with his truck? He was trying to shoot up the church.
I don't think it was. I think it was a guy. I think he got in a shootout like with some troopers and drove away. Then went to church and killed 2 people. And yeah, but I mean, it's happened. That was very recent. There's been a couple. There was a big church shooting down there in Texas a couple of years ago where a guy killed a lot of people. And so yeah, churches, schools. I mean, we had the Mad Butcher supermarket there in down there in Dallas County. And so yes, it's man. I hate to say where we're at, but this stuff can pop up anywhere.
Oh yeah. And people try to blame the weapon for what's going on, and it wouldn't matter if you look at the UK. There's more knife deaths, as a result, or acid attacks or something like. The bad guy's going to get a weapon to have more force than the victim. It seems like I would say it's a spiritual battle. It's a battle of the heart that we have in the time that we're in. I think mental health issues contribute to that, but and we're just more informed. We have 24-hour news cycle, so you get some crazy and what am I going to do? I don't have anything to live for, and so they copycat.
Yeah, they want to go out in style.
Yeah. So, what are the most pressing crime trends in Logan County today?
Well, we've got several. I think one of the most pressing issues that lead to a lot of that is just what you just talked about was mental illness. Mental illness is a problem I think that has spread that a lot of folks don't really know about, and it's something that we as sheriffs been trying to work with our legislator to get this addressed, because the problem with the mental ill issue, it costs a lot of money. And money is always an issue, as we notice. Back in the day, we used to, when I say we, but it was before my time, Americans, when someone was mentally ill, we put them in asylums. We put them in places where they were locked away. They were out of sight, out of mind. But the problem is there's a lot of mistreatment, a lot of mistreatment because they weren't funded very well. But they were out of sight and out of mind. And then you came the trend where it got into medication. And so we started medicating them and sending them home, and then started closing these places. And one of the reasons why I know this is when I was at Sling County, when I worked at the Sling County Sheriff's Office, the Benton Services Center, which is, if you ever seen Sling Blade, that's where the parts where he's in the mental institution was filmed at that building, because that is one of the old mental asylums in Arkansas. I mean, the buildings have been repurposed for the most part and used for other stuff. But we would go there to do training, and I would look around and talk to people, and they would tell me about how it used to be. But now it's got remedicate people. And then the problem is when they go home, who's medicating? Who's going to force them to medicate?
Right.
And so we have a lot of folks with mental health problems that are now living in our society, and they're taking out on other people because you can't forcibly do this stuff, because a lot of them are, they're mentally ill. What are you going to hold them down? And so it's gotten where a lot of the mentally ill are being put in jails. We've got several people in our jail that are mentally ill. And then you have the people who've been high on drugs for a long time and they're burned out. Yeah. They're not mentally ill, but they're still, not thinking straight. And so sometimes those are confused for the mentally ill. There's people that we have that walk around this county that has been involuntary committed. I'm talking multiple times, but they go away, they get the medication, they learn some coping techniques, come back, don't take the medication, and we're right back to where we are. And so we're trying to work with the legislator. They have opened up some more beds. We got 32 beds that were opened up in Little Rock. We've been working with the Department of Health to get open. But you think about how much it costs to do 24-hour care for someone who's mentally ill. It's not just like renting a hotel room. You're talking having people, counselors, you're talking having security guards that can handle violent people. So the state hospital, which is where the worst go, there's just such a lack of beds. And if we have someone here, like if we got someone in our jail who committed a crime and they get found unfit, they can sit in our jail for 2 years waiting to get in a bed in the Arkansas State Hospital. And so they've tried these other programs where they'll farm them out to some different places. And we saw that some in the city of Parrish with the Short Mountain Lodge. We had people there that were under medication that had, that were part of what's called the 911 program. But that didn't work out. And of course, now that lodge is closed down. But there's just that is a big, and we've been working with that where we've got more money for doing more evaluations, getting evaluations quicker, hopefully moving these court cases quicker. But that's one of the big issues because I'm telling you, we are seeing that in Logan County. We are seeing people in Logan County. You've seen them walking around the streets. A lot of people who are listening to this are going to know, you can name names.
Right.
And I can tell you, us, the Boonville Police Department, Paris Police Department, we have worked very hard in getting folks evaluated, involuntary, and committed and all that. But man, they just come right back. And so we've been working with the legislator. Our legislators know about it. It's just, it seems like every year we're getting a little farther on that. So that's a big issue. And I think, of course, drugs is always going to be an issue. Drugs is the root of a lot of other crimes, thefts, batteries, things like that are because of drugs. And we're not only getting this, not just about meth and fentanyl, which is very bad, but it's about prescription drug abuse. And they've gotten better on that. The DA's gotten better on that, on monitoring who's getting. Used to people are going out and getting hydrocodone for 6 different doctors. So there's better reporting programs now that have actually reduced that. They've come down on a lot of the drug makers, a lot of the opioid makers. There's been huge settlements. Yep. And Arkansas,
the Sackler family. Big.
And Arkansas got a lot of money. And so what Arkansas did with their money, the Association of Arkansas Counties, which is the group that, like all of us, like kind of like our lobbying group or our group that holds the counties together. Then the Municipal League, which is the same thing for city, they got a large part of that money. They pulled their money. And so they're doing grants and try to help with that, with the opioid epidemic, doing peer support specialists. I'll get into that in a little bit because that's a program we have at our jail. Drugs is always an issue. It's kind of changed some because, we don't, a lot of folks are going to Fort Smith and Oklahoma to get their drugs. And so it's not like we're having a huge supplier come in that's got, it's more incremental.
Right. But there's what you're saying is there's no kingpin in Logan County that supplies everybody with their illegal drugs.
But there are some movers, and if you've looked on our, you've looked on our website, you've seen them in there. If you looked on the jail roll, you've seen them in there. And so, we're hitting them, but it's just, it's an ongoing everyday. Addiction is so hard. It is such a hard thing. We have a lot of partnerships in Logan County with different recovery programs. We have that, there's a place over there in Boonville. It's over there by the, it's in the old Western Arkansas Guidance Counseling Center. It's an inpatient place. We have a lot of people we're working with on referrals and finding homes. There's been new treatment homes open up in Clarksville and Fort Smith and other areas. And so we've got a pretty good group we've put in place that works with our jail and our peer recovery specialists to get people treatment. And we're taking that even further. So there's some more programs in mind that we're doing. We're just trying to get grant money to do.
So what is do you know any of the statistics on recidivism of people that go through those treatment programs? That
their numbers are, I've seen 47%, but the programs, they help. The number one problem though we have with programs, especially when you're a small town, is they're coming back to the same area with the people they grew up with. Yeah. With the people who are providing this stuff. And I'm an active member of drug court. There's not very many sheriffs that actually protect. I go when we have drug court, I'm there every time. And so I listen to their testimony. I've talked with the participants in drug court, and that's one of the big things they focus on though, is trying to get away from the people that are sitting there ready to halt your progress. And so, yeah, there is the recidivism rate but it's not as bad depending on what programs we have. And the peer support specialist program, which is a peer support, is somebody who used to be addicted to drugs, who got off on it, and they went through a state certified program where they can actually come back and counsel and work with people in recovery.
It's like AA or NA with a certificate, a training program. Because
I can't walk in our jail and go back there in the back and start talking to people about getting off meth, because they're going to look at me and they're not going to believe, whether it's me, whether it's detention staff or whoever, they're not going to listen to us. But if you can get somebody who they know, who's a peer of them, that's where the peer support comes from, they can work with them and talk with them and walk them through it, then it helps a lot better. So we've been doing this for several years. We have peer support specialists that come to our jail and they work with inmates. They do recovery programs. We have a GED program that's really good. We've had inmates that have made it through the GED and got their GED, and then even got some specialized like training that they can do over with the GED person who comes. You know, like
So wait a minute. They get their GED while they're incarcerated.
yes.
That is amazing.
It is. And I was very happy that Arkansas Tech University, that their adult education program, and they jumped on it. When I went to them first, I said,
So you implemented this program.
yes,
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that was I think that was one of the benefits of having a bigger jail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when our jail, I took over the jail 6 months after I came into office. That's when it was completed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very lucky with that. I mean, former Sheriff Boyd Hicks and then our current county judge, Ray Jake, they were the ones who really pushed for this jail, and we needed one. And they got it passed, and it started being built during Sheriff Hicks' term. And then 6 months into my term, it was completed. So we have more room.
Right.
And that's what's really helped. And so, yeah, the GD program has worked. And our GD, they're also doing some like forklift. I mean, they can't do the physical part, but they can at least get through a lot of the written part.
Right. The course curriculum.
Yes.
Yeah.
On other stuff. So we have that. And then we have these recovery programs. They go in there and talk to them kind of like, you know, anger management, support, things like that. And then when they get out of jail, they hook them up with programs. And so we're working with our prosecutor's office right now and our judge, our circuit judge who handles drug court, to expand the program to try to get more people into recovery programs. Because if we can get them off, then our crime's going to go down, because so many thefts come from drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, they just do.
Yeah.
And but it's hard. I mean, I think that, and I can't tell you, but I know that most average people, we don't understand how hard it is to come off meth. Most of us have a hard time putting our phone down. But you can imagine something that's actually physically altered your brain, like methamphetamine has.
Or opioids.
How hard it is to get off something like that. And so, but we're trying. I don't want us to be just like, let's lock people up,
right?
Because it's not going to stop the drugs. It's a supply and demand. If the demand is there, the drugs are coming into our county. And you know, through our collaboration with the state police, the drug task force, which is our local, they're out of the prosecutor's office. They cover 4 counties, and then the DEA, the state, whatever. We all share knowledge, do a really good job with each other, but we're never going to stop it until we get rid of demand.
Right. What is your feelings on ibogaine treatment? Have you done any research on that?
I've heard about it, but I haven't really gotten too much into that.
I really didn't know much about it. You know who former Governor Rick Perry is, right, from Texas?
Yes, and that's kind of like, is that some of the, I guess the it's not mushrooms, but it's some type of
it is a psychoactive compound.
That's it, yeah.
But so the way I found out about it is Governor Rick Perry went to, I think, somewhere in South Carolina to where, like, a Navy SEAL museum, and he met Marcus Luttrell there. And he just told Marcus, hey, if you're ever in Texas, come by the governor's mansion. You know, that's just something you tell people. But Marcus really did it, and he lived with him for months. He lived in the governor's mansion with Rick Perry for months. So Rick Perry got to know what these veterans, you know, kind of what's going on with them when they get back. They have all this PTSD, and then they go into the system, and the system puts them on these opioids for pain and on these other medications, SSRIs and things for PTSD, and then they're addicted, and then they get in the cycle, and they get in the criminal justice system. So he went to somewhere in South America where ibogaine was legal, and they did some, you know, to talk to some of the scientists down there that were studying it. And then since then, there's been studies here, and the ibogaine treatments, which are legal in Texas now, he helped get that passed. For one treatment, there is a 80-something% success rate. If you do 2 treatments, it's almost 100% that you won't relapse on opioids. And the way he described it is just like you did. The opioids, what they do is they rewire the circuitry of the pleasure systems in your brain, and you don't have the ability to feel happiness or pleasure in the absence of the opioid. It hijacks your dopamine system in your brain. So, and right now, ibogaine is the only thing that can restart that within 24 to 48 hours to restart your dopamine system. to unlock it from what the opioids have done. So I'm going to continue to do more research on that, and I mean, we all have stories of family members or friends that have personally been affected by these opioids and for years doctors didn't really know much about them. They're just, oh, there's these new drugs, they do great for pain. Yeah, here, take 50. I know you had a sprained ankle because they have pharma coming in saying, these things are safe, they're non-addictive. They were lied to in many cases. But I think it's important now that we know what they are, that we have the best treatment plan to help folks that, like you said, we have no idea what it's like to have your brain is hijacked and you're a zombie to those medications. You can have all the willpower in the world, and not until you hit rock bottom and know that your life is going to end or go absolutely nowhere, then you might, by the grace of God, be saved by the grace of God. If you don't have a treatment plan that helps you, But anyway.
Well, I mean, if I've heard of that, and hopefully there'll be a more clinical research with that, and more medical opinions come out, and maybe that could change some minds.
Sure.
If it's showing it's working.
But one of the things with it is, ibogaine, you have to be. It's an inpatient treatment, but because it is a psychoactive compound, and there are risks involved. If you can't self-administer it, you could, if you tried that, you could overdose on it. So it is in treatment, and so there's more cost to that. But right now, Texas is doing pretty well with that, from what I understand. One of the things you touched on was the new jail, and you have more room and all that. I wanted to ask you, the looming elephant in every room in the state of Arkansas right now is this prison going in over in Franklin County. I don't deny that we do need a prison, because there's lots of counties, like I'm sure ours, that are having to hold inmates because there's no room in the prison system. How would, if that prison were built, I'm trying to put you on the spot, but if that prison were built, how would that affect your department?
Well, it would affect the agency in several different matters. I mean, first off, I'm all for building a prison. We do need another prison. There's no doubt about it. I can tell you that people are not serving all their sentences. They're getting they're getting released early, and they come back, and we're seeing it. When there are, I say this all the time, when there are certain people in jail, our crime's down. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it, especially on the theft end. And so we need another prison, but we don't need it where it's at. It's just, I don't like the location. I think there's all kinds of issues with the location. I don't like how it was done. I think when you're going to build a project that big, you need to be open. Just like we were when we were getting our jail. I mean, we were very open. We had meetings, and I think we had people come to our jail, things like that. But I just think that when you've got an issue, like one of the reasons why they said they kept it secret, because they didn't want to jack the price of land up, but they paid $3-4 million for it. When you're building $1 billion jail, even if you pay twice as much, it's still $8 million compared to. So I just don't think that was an issue. I think we really should have had some meetings and talk about it. And so I don't. And in the location, I was hoping it would be somewhere kind of more up, northwest Arkansas, somewhere near the interstate that you could jump on there. Right. So, but I'm glad you asked about it, because one of the questions I have that people say is, well, with that jail so close, then you'll just be able to take people directly there. I said, no, that's not how things go. It's not how things, and it isn't. So when someone pleads guilty, or they have a trial and they're found guilty, they're convicted of a crime. Right. And when they're sentenced to the Arkansas Department of Corrections, we take that sentencing order and we send it down there to I'll call it ADC for short, Arkansas Department of Corrections. Then when they have a bed, they inform us, and we take them down to Malvern, because Malvern is where the Omega unit, where all the people come in. They get medical tests, they get interviewed, they get talked to. So everyone's got to go down there first before then they get dispersed to the prisons around the state. So it's not like Logan County is going to be able to just save on transport costs by taking people from our jail over to here. Now,
So they still have to go to Malvern. Doesn't matter where
Yes.
they are. So it's like boot camp for prison.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Or
And-
MEPS.
And it will help some because say there's someone who's been sentenced and they have another case that has not been resolved yet, and they get put over here. Yeah, then we'll be able to go there and pick them up, bring them here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we go to Calico Rock, which is way up there. We go all the way over to Bricky's and Tucker. So we travel all over. Our transport officers travel all over the state. So where it's going to help us, you know, they're going to be able to house more people. That's the big thing. But to me, where it's going to hurt is, I mean, we're going to be competing for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just telling you, we have a hard enough time finding jail staff right now. I mean, we're fully staffed, but we lose a lot because I'm telling you, it's a hard job. I mean, you're paid to go into an enclosed area and deal with people for 12 hours who some are mentally ill, some are just flat out mean,
Mm-hmm.
and some are very difficult. And you're trying to babysit them while fearing one's going to sue you, kill you, hurt you, or something,
Right.
or see you a year later in Walmart and mad at you because you didn't give them an extra blanket, because that kind of stuff's on our jailer's mind. And so they're going to start right now, a starting detention officer or a starting correctional officer in ADC's 55,000. Okay. I mean,
Wow.
our guys start at 30, 31, 32.
Mm-hmm.
I make 60,000 as the sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
and a starting correctional officer will make 55,000 starting. And so if you're going to, and if you're going to build, if you're going to put in a prison that size, it's not like you're going to have correctional officers from all around the state come in and fill those positions. You're going to have to hire a bunch of people. You're going to have to hire ranking positions.
Mm-hmm.
So a starting might be 55, but a sergeant might be 65. And they
Right.
might like a law enforcement officer. I'm not talking about a detention officer. They might like one of our deputies or someone else and saying, hey, we need someone who's got some experience. Come over here and join us. We'll pay you $65,000, $70,000
Mhm.
and make you a sergeant, a lieutenant, or something like that because you got experience. So
Never have to leave the building.
yes. So my fear is we're going to lose not just detention staff, but we're going to lose experienced officers because of the salary and the state benefits that they're going to offer.
Well, I think that's one of the consulting firm, one of the case studies they did, from what I understand, is that the population where this prison needed to go had to have a population, demographic population of somewhere around 200,000 to support the workforce of that. And that goes to show that is probably right, because it's going to adversely affect all law enforcement jobs for a pretty big radius around the prison.
Yeah, and I also hear people, well, a lot of your guys are not going to go want to work in prison. Well, one thing is brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And so when things are new and they're slowly moving prisoners and filling up, yeah, there's going to be some people that want to go over there and work. And, but it is such a catch-22 because, you want large employers to come. I mean, we want, we talk about factories, we talk about manufacturing plants, we talk about, large employment. We want them to come. We want people to move here and find jobs and stuff like that. So to me, it's a bitter pill to swallow sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But but my job, I'm elected by Logan County to represent the sheriff's office, to be the sheriff. And I have to look at it, through, the eyes of the position I'm in.
Right.
And it's going to hurt. But if it gets built, and we will do the best we can. We'll work with our Corn Court, which is our county commission, county legislator, have you want. I don't like the name Corn Court. It's an old name.
Yeah.
But it's really
Arkansas deal.
And a justice of the peace is really a county representative or a county commissioner. So, but we'll work with our county government the best we can if it does come in, and and just see where we're at then. But man, it is like it's like a mountain in the distance. It's just getting closer every day.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, the good thing is that they've got to find water first.
they do have to find water. So
to me, you're talking about industries coming in. We want industries that create jobs. It's kind of like there's too many net negatives on it. So let's take this hypothetical situation: nuclear power. That's high paying jobs, and they employ quite a few people. The bad thing is nobody wants to live near one. So it suppresses the economy directly around it. as far as residential people, schools, things like that. They don't want to be around it. Prison's the same way. That's all they do. That's all it will have is jobs. Anything close to it, your property values are going to go down. People aren't going to want to live next to it. So I agree with you. There's plenty of forest in Northwest Arkansas that's pretty close to the interstate that I think they would have better chance at finding water, or closer to Pulaski County where most of the crime happens, or closer to Malvern if they're, to save on transport costs.
Well, they have to look at where the best hiring pool is, and and that's what a lot of this, and that's why I didn't think they would build it there. I honestly thought that it was going to be somewhere between Fayetteville and Alma, or Van Buren. We're somewhere up there because that way you can draw from the Northwest Arkansas and the West Arkansas pool of people. Because that's people say, well, why don't you expand Calico Rock? Well, Calico Rock, as far as employees, they're having a hard time right now. And if you added a whole bunch there, or if you went down to Tucker or one of those places, which are an economically depressed area, you're not going to get the employees if you expand on any of the current prisons. And I understand that because they are just employed out there. There's no one. And so they want that. The thought was to build it in a place where there's not a prison. So hopefully they can draw people to something that's new. And so that's why a lot of us thought they were going to build it somewhere between the two markets, somewhere between Fort Smith and Washington, Benton County. That way you can draw people from both sides. But they found the spot here in Charleston. So
I've heard some sheriff's departments are saying that they're not being adequately funded for housing prisoners that are supposed to be going to the Department of Corrections. Do you have similar stories to that, or?
Well, they reimburse a flat fee of $42 a day. Of course, jails are different among what they calculate their daily cost is. The age of the facility, how was their utilities and the building and the food and all that. So I don't think 42 is enough. We're fortunate right now because we built a new jail and we built a bigger jail, and so we've gotten close to being full on the male side. When you think of our jail, the way that the pod section, the housing section, the back, whatever you want to call it, it's laid out kind of like a pizza. You have a tower right in the middle, and you have these cell blocks that just go out. That way, the guy in the tower can look around and see into each cell block.
Are there lots of cameras to where he can?
Man. Yes, there's cameras, but there's also visual line of sight too.
I want to come look at that. I've never actually been in there.
Anytime and so it's got windows too. But how it's divided up, there are 8 total cell blocks in there. You have 6 for males and 2 for females, and so it might be 100 beds, but the 100 bed also includes the 6 cells that are in our booking area. So it's not like we can't reach 100 capacity because we can't hold people in our booking very long. But our male section, those 6 cell blocks has been full before. And then what we do hold some federal prisoners. It's a contract we have. We get like $53 a day for that. So we just start.
I've seen that. It says on the app, it says like hold for U.S. Marshals, something like that.
And we do that because we have the extra beds and we make money. That money goes to general fund. It goes to help fund. And of course, that's the sheriff's office itself is paid for. The jail's paid for a tax, but the sheriff's office paid out of general fund.
That's good to know because I thought we had like federal criminals trying to hide out here. And we're like, man, there's a lot of people that's got federal that are running from the marshals coming in.
No, what the marshals do is when they get somebody, they call us up and say, hey, you got room? And we said, yes, we've got room. And then someone who's been through the federal courts and they're only here it's only a temporary until they get to a federal prison or get let go. But the good thing about that is there's no requirement on how many we have to hold. So when our population goes up, we just lower that number. And if I got to go to 0, I don't care because my main goal is to hold people from here.
Right.
I only agree to do federal prisons because it's just money that could go help pay for. Why let a bed sit empty?
It's like subletting a room. Like, oh yeah, we got the extra room. We can.
And also when we have extra beds, we'll also hold some state prisons for other counties that are because Sebastian County is always full. Always. That jail is 100% all the time it's full. And so they've got state inmates that are just waiting for beds. The state's paying $43 a day and they're just waiting for a bed. And so we've taken some of theirs before and over here, and then that $43 comes to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's extra money that we can make off of it. And we get paid for that. I mean, we probably, I think last year total with all the state inmates we made about 287,000 plus another 100,000 federal. So that's money that's coming in.
Sure.
That's money we're making.
Yeah.
And that we don't have to make, that we do. But, I'm always trying to get ways to, to help our budget. And, because, man, things just get so expensive. Running a jail it's so expensive. You've got, especially when it comes to medical care and dental care and things like that fluctuate, because you can have a good year and have inmates that are mildly healthy, but then you can have years where you get an inmate who's charged with like murder. You can't let them go, but they have major health problems. And Brian, I'm not trying to surprise you on this, but we get folks that don't go to the doctor when they're outside.
Oh no.
But when they get arrested, all of a sudden they got to go to the doctor while they're inside. And so, and we have to do that. There's a constitutional requirement of care. We have a medical contractor that comes in, and so, people get their quality of care in the jail. I don't want people get sick in the jail. I don't want people dying in the jail. We do the best we can to get the treatment for them, but get the treatment that's required, not the treatment that they necessarily want.
Right.
I mean, for example, if someone has a bad tooth, we get it pulled, but we're not buying a crown for them.
Sure.
We're going to get what they need to be stabilized and be ready for court, and then or ready to go to wherever they're going to go. But even that, it's just more and more, it's costing money.
Well, I think the most recent estimate on the new prison said it was going to be $1 million a day to run it. Have you heard that?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, because you're looking at a city of 3,000 up there with a pretty big medical, and then when I'm telling you, when they get in jail, they next thing you know, there's all kinds of medical issues that we're having to deal with. So, but that's part of running a jail. That's something we're used to, and we do the best we can to manage our medical care to get a provider that's cost efficient, but yet does the job, and that's just like with food. That's why we serve people beans and cornbread and bologna sandwiches every day.
Swanson dinners?
No, we don't even do that. It is the same oatmeal. I mean, it's the same. We have the same menu every day. And we've had this since back when Steve Smith was sheriff. It was just something he started and Sheriff Hicks did, and it's something I continued. It keeps the money down, cost down compared to other facilities, because they're, having different meals each day and all that. And we just do the same thing. You want a better meal, go somewhere else.
Yeah. Or don't go to jail.
Don't go to jail. Yep.
How do you gather and incorporate feedback from Logan County residents?
Well, we're always out. I mean,
well, the Facebook page is one thing, but
Facebook page, man, I get messages a lot. I talk to people. I go to all kinds of events. We're always out at the festivals and stuff, and we do that to talk to people. People come up, talk to us. People come to the lobby, talk to us. I mean, we get messages. I mean, we get it from all over, because, like I said, this is a society where people are not afraid to contact people.
Sure.
Back in the old days, if I call this government office, I got to go through this. Man, people call us all the time for stuff. I mean, I get, as the sheriff, I guess the old common law sheriff was a person who handled a lot of things. I've been out, on property disputes. I've been out on this. And people just call me up for just opinion on things. Also knowing I'm an attorney too. I don't care. I'll talk to you, and whether it's listening to him and saying, look, man, you probably need to go talk to an attorney on this, which I had to do that before. But me and Josh Scott, who's our chief deputy, and
love that guy. He's a good guy.
Our investigator, our jail, we talk to people all the time. We go to a lot of events. We're always out eating somewhere. We're always talking. So we get good, and we get a lot of feedback. I mean, we get feedback good. We get feedback bad. I mean,
and you have a lot of community projects that you do in conjunction with local PDs, like the Shop with the Cop program.
Yes.
I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, our Deputy Sheriff Association, which is basically, though, it's really an employee association. They call it Deputy Sheriffs, but we have jail staff, dispatchers. We're all involved in it and do stuff. They have 2 golf tournaments, one in the north side, one in the south side, and the local police departments. All of us are together. When I say they're doing it, it's all of us. It's us, Boonville Magazine. On the north side, Paris is going to help us with the one, and we're going to have a Ratcliffe. We'll do dinners, like lunches and stuff to raise money. We got it was a haunted hayride.
Back up at the hill.
But this year is different. This year we're taking it back up to BHDC south of Boonville, and it's going to be good. I mean, I'm telling you, parking's going to be we're this now. Just be patient with us this first year, but I'm telling you, the Deputy Sheriff Association and the Boonville Police Department, all there, man, the EMS is getting involved, some of the fire departments get involved, and so we're going to have a haunted house up at the BHDC several weekends in a row.
The haunted forest that I had never been through. I went through it last year. Everybody had a great time. But I grew up at BHDC in the employee housing, and when I was old enough, I think it was like 12, I volunteered in the haunted house every year because I love horror films and it's in the morgue. And that's where little boys learn to overcome their fear of the dark. If you didn't know, is the morgue of a tuberculosis sanatorium when the lights are off. So that is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
And so, and they raise all this money, and it goes with Shop with a Cop, and that's on both sides, and where we take kids, both sides of the county. We take kids to Walmart right before, or usually in the beginning of December, and shop with them there. The money's also they've used up money for hotel rooms for people that needed a place to stay, for bus tickets if someone needs to go somewhere. They have helped out us, sometimes they'll, like when we have a Christmas party, that they'll get stuff for the kids. So yeah, we do a lot. We work with a lot of different people when we do these projects, and I'm telling you, Logan County is a very giving place.
Yes,
it's a very great place to live.
I will agree with you 100%. There's one program that you guys had that has kind of fallen off that I've heard a lot of requests for it to come back, and you guys do a lot for the Boys and Girls Club with the dodgeball tournament. There's a lot of folks saying, man, we want dodgeball.
All they got to do is call us and ask.
Okay.
Usually they call us. That's the reason why.
So they need to contact the Boys and Girls Club on that.
Yeah, we do it for both sides, for both Boys and Girls Club, and it's really not fair because they usually beat us pretty bad. I'm just telling you, there's so many kids. I mean, they just destroy us, and so. But it's a lot of fun. But normally the Boys and Girls Club reach out to us and say, hey, what date y'all want to do this, and we'll do it. So, but we have not done it this summer. So you're right on that. We need to double check on that because they usually beat the tar out of us. But it's a lot of fun. We've been in the Boys and Girls Club in the past and had our investigators come out, showed them about fingerprinting and things like that. We're always, we have a school program. Our narcotics investigator Howard Bates, he goes and works in the schools. Has a program that he goes to a lot of middle schools, and he's been through several of the schools throughout the county to talk about drug stuff too. So we do get involved.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that you kind of have that makes your department so great is you have like an all-star team of people that surround you. With Mark Walker, Josh Scott, all these people, Bates, like you said. All these people that know you, they know what you expect, and they kind of follow that lead. And I've never met anybody that had anything bad to say about the Logan County Sheriff's Office. That's pretty remarkable. I mean, I talked to a lot of people. Now, I'm not going to say that some people haven't had run-ins with you, but they're not going to say you're unfair. That's not what they're going to do. And they know they probably deserved whatever it was that they got, if they got charged with a crime. But I've never heard anybody complaining about mistreatment or complaining that nobody cared or wasn't doing their job. And I think a lot of that has to do with the programs that you have where you're always in the community. So the officers and the public get to know each other on a personal level. So there's less alienation there.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about team. We have a good team there. And if I'm telling you, if they come to me and say, hey, I got this idea, I'm like, go. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to have me step in everything and act like I'm the big sheriff and I'm going to stand over this so I can get my publicity out of it. When Howard, when he wanted to do, or Investigator Bates, when he wanted to do the schools, go. Go in there. I don't need to come in there with you and say, hey, I'm the sheriff, I'm going to let this. No, man. If you want to get in there and teach kids, go in there and do it. And we have a drug task force, which is out of Danville. It's out of the prosecutor's office in Danville, but there's 3 special agents assigned to that, and they cover 4 counties, and we work really good with them. So one of their agents will go along with Howard sometimes and go to the schools. because we know we just want to. Hey, we're fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it.
Yeah.
If you want to come in, we work with the state police. We've had, because we don't have a K-9. We've had the state police bring their K-9. We've had Fort Smith bring their K-9 into schools because, hey, I mean, we don't have it, but if you want it, we're going to find it for you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to take all the glory. We'll get Fort Smith to come in and
Sure.
run their K-9 right. We pay whatever it takes,
Mhm.
So yeah, that's one thing about working here is, and I'm not saying just because I'm the sheriff, because again, it has to do with teamwork. But man, we just have we have a good law enforcement crew in Logan County.
Mm-hmm.
And we get along. I mean, our troopers, man, they work real good with us. They're always contacting us and
Sure.
contacting the local police departments. Who do we need to look for? We're out on the highways all the time. You guys
Right.
got to answer calls. So is there vehicles you're looking for? Is there folks that are trafficking drugs? Is there someone that's wanted? What do they drive?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with our game wardens, man. The game wardens, that they're all in too,
Mhm.
and so there is a lot of collaboration between our agencies. We're talking a lot, whether it's
That's good.
through we have a different pages, or if we're talking through our text groups. But we're sharing information when we're looking for stuff, and it's really cool because I know one time we were looking for a car in South Logan County, and a trooper helped us for 2 hours when he could have been out driving around here, Scott County, Franklin County, looking for people.
Mm-hmm.
But he spent 2 hours with us trying to find this car, and he ended up finding them too. He actually is the one that found them. They actually broke down. A wheel fell off the car, and because they were looking for drugs, and the wheel fell off the car, and the trooper found them just here west of Boonville, and we found a bunch of meth on them and put them in jail. And
man.
that was one of the guys we were looking for. But that was collaboration between us, Magazine Police Department, which we run through contract, and the Arkansas State Police and the Boonville Police Department. All four of us were in this looking for this car, and we end up getting them. So and you see that a lot of collaboration. We have a lot of one thing that Logan County is blessed with. This is one of those things that a lot of people don't know about. Is we have 3 special agents with the state police. They're the ones who they're troopers, but they're in their CID, the Criminal Investigation Division, and they do major crimes. We have 3 that live in this county,
Wow.
and so one of them's assigned to another county, one's assigned here, and one does here, but they're still here. So when stuff happens, when we call in their help, because we're going to call in their help because they've got resources we don't have. You got local special agents that come in. And 2 of them used to work for us, and they're there to help or to take over the case. And a big example is that murder case that we had in New Blaine,
Mm-hmm.
where
the old guy.
yes, it was an elderly fella who
Sorry, that sounded cold. Old guy.
yeah, well,
the elderly fellow.
yeah, that's
No,
not
like
like
your the way you put it better.
But we got the call. We come in, we see this, and we call the Arkansas State Police special agents. Hey, man, we need y'all's help. I mean, this is, and we worked on that case. And all of us work together on that case. I mean, we're going over leads. We're pouring over video. We're calling about traffic cameras, and we got a good break in the case and got it solved. But it was absolutely solved between collaboration between us, state police, Tyler Barm, and the prosecutor's office, all them. And so that's what solved that case. Because I don't care who you are. If you want to come in and take over our training room and you're helping us with this murder, let's bring it. Let's get it done. So we get a lot of help from other agencies. It's something we very much appreciate, and they know we tell them. All the time.
Thank God you caught those folks, because that was abhorrent. What
That
happened
dude,
there.
that guy was, he'd killed 2 different people and under kind of the same circumstances. One in Georgia and one in Logan County, and then they got him. When they found out who it was, they entered his vehicle in the national database, and there was a Denton police officer who had one of those license plate readers that were mounted on his vehicle. And he's driving around, and his vehicle automatically reads the license plate on that camper, and comes back stolen. And he pulls him over, and he didn't know about a lot of this stuff. He just knew it was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was a good officer, inquisitive, and next thing you know, they got him. We're finding the evidence. We found the crossbow that was used as the murder weapon, all that in the vehicle. It was a good collaboration. But man, stuff like that, I just like that. I like, and then we're down there in Texas, and we're processing this vehicle, and you had the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They sent 3 people down there. They sent 2. Then there was an investigator from the sheriff's office where it happened at Georgia. You had us down there. You had our state police special agents down there. Tyler Barnes, our deputy prosecutor, Logan County, was down there. The Denton police are down there, and we're all just collaborating on this case and figuring out who's going to prosecute and all. It was really nice. But that's just the stuff you learn. And that's just, it's really exciting about that when everyone's kind of sitting together and talking and moving and working on things.
It's like something you would see on a movie.
Yes, that one there was. I'm glad that they caught it. State police did a really good job on that. And one of our local investigators, he did a really good job on it. He hit that thing hard. Our local state police investigator, one of the special agents, he did a really good job on it.
That kind of brings me to my next question is about technology in policing. How quick are you to adopt new technologies, and what new technologies have you implemented since taking over?
Now, I'm big on technology, but I'm also cautious. I mean, I'm an old school person.
Sure.
And so when I look at technology, I got to make sure that it's where it's at. But man, we put a lot of technology in the sheriff's office since I got there. I mean, in-car computers are one of our big purchases. And that's a big deal because they can do the reports from the cars. They can run people's IDs and license plates from the cars without getting on the radio and taking up dispatch time, which is a real big deal. And so that's helped up front. And then we also got, one of the big things was drones. I mean, I looked at what drones are doing in law enforcement, and I thought, man, we've got to have some of those. So me and another investigator, he's no longer here. He's with the Arkansas Highway Police. But when we went and started studying and took the FFA drone pilot test and passed that and got our pilot's license, and had another deputy do it, and then we purchased 2 drones. Those things have worked very, very good. I mean, it's a good feeling to have when you're in an investigation or something bad's going on, and you got a camera up there that is looking down on the scene. So if something happens, you can be diverted quick enough. I mean, we've used it for search and rescue. We've used those drones for finding stolen property. We've used it on searches, on finding people or finding people who's run off. We've recorded crime scenes. So that's another good tool. But we're always looking for law enforcement or looking for technology in law enforcement. We applied for a grant with the opioid partnership, the one I was telling you about that is taking that opioid settlement money. And we got what's called a True Narc device, man. It's like a $30,000, and it's a drug testing machine. It's about this big.
Oh, I see.
But it uses a laser to test drugs. So we can field test without even touching the drugs. Our narcotics officer could just, or investigator can go up there and just use that True Narc device. You can actually test it without even touching it. And it's very quick. Now, it's a preliminary test. So we send everything in the crime lab to get through the main test. But that way we can test it quick up front, find out what it is.
Right.
Before, we don't charge someone with the wrong offense, or if it's really not drugs, we know about it a lot further.
They have BC powder and charge them with cocaine or something.
Yeah, but we do have some field testing kits, but they require you to break this vial and you got to rub it and stuff like that. This True Narc test is really good, and it's a grant that we applied for, got. So man, we love technology. I know now one of the big things now is artificial intelligence, and how's artificial intelligence or AI making its way into the law enforcement field. And it's getting there. Some simple things that I see where it's helping is, like, I can take a recorder, and if I interview someone, I can use this special recorder, and then an AI will automatically transcribe instead of trying to get someone to go do it, which we don't have a person who, and I'm definitely not going to pay money for. Well, now we got a program that can transcribe stuff. So it is starting to make its way into law enforcement, and I'm sure when it comes to a lot of the more national, they're looking at crime trends and stuff like that using AI, but it is getting there.
Yeah, I'm a big tech guy, so I stay read on all the AI technologies. And prior to this, I did some research on some of the law enforcement uses in AI, and it's not quite there as far as facial recognition. There's a lot of wrongful convictions when it comes to facial recognition because of bias, because these large language models are programmed by people, and people have a natural bias. So we need regulation in that front. We have to have some kind of regulatory agency at a state level to come in and say, okay, well, let's have a look at the source code for this. Let's have a look at, we need to be able to tell if there's a bias, so that way we can account for it. If you know there's a bias and you can account for it, then you can still use the tool. But it's when you don't know, it's the unknown unknowns that gets you in trouble. But there was, let's see, I printed it out here. Jacksonville, Florida, there was a AI facial recognition misidentified somebody just this year that they were convicted, and then they, some attorney did the legwork and found out that, hey, that's really not the guy that y'all were looking for. And there was eight total this year, and Washington Post did an investigation, and like 8 of the 9 were wrongful that were using, and they have things like, have you ever heard of the Minority Report movie?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
times.
it's like a what's the guy's name that?
Well, it's Tom Cruise is the main guy, and
they do pre-crime. I mean, they have those systems in metro areas like Detroit and Chicago and stuff. They have these systems that predict crime, and there's bias in them. They're finding bias in them, and they're biased toward the economically depressed areas of the cities. And that's some stuff I just found out this morning. So we're getting, I think, and I tell people this, that technology's always one step ahead of the regulatory. It's like the kids are always ahead of the grown-ups on this. So we need to use caution when we're implementing these AI technologies. But once we get there, then we have new tools. So like the license plate reader you were talking about. I mean, we didn't have that 20 years ago. Especially, it may, in the metro area, they may have had it on a stoplight or something mounted where it could take a picture of it and run it through a database. But now you have it real time, and you can mount it on your car if you want.
Yeah, we don't have any here in Logan County. There are some throughout the state, though.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's always a privacy, versus security. That's always been the in courts, in case law. There's always security on one side and privacy rights of the citizen on the other side. And how is that balanced? And it's very hard sometimes to swing it which way. I mean, having that license plate reader, that's what solved that case. They found that guy through that. And so, yes, I just look at, I have a little fear of AI, because I just fear that something that can make cold calculating decisions, but in law enforcement, I don't foresee it being used locally not because, I mean, we're such a human factor.
Sure.
I mean, where I see it locally in law enforcement is maybe like we got like grant writing. I mean, if you got to write a grant, you can feed some of what you need in there, and the AI will give you a good paragraph.
But not police reports.
Yeah, it's just because you have to. Yeah, you got to,
because it will hallucinate on a lot of things.
Because my thing is when it comes to the constitutional right of liberty, which is I'm all for. If I'm going to restrict your liberty, which is one of the powers that the state has granted to me as a law enforcement officer, is I can restrict your liberty. There's certain rights that we can, with all kinds of redundancies, like getting a warrant, having a neutral impartial magistrate, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I want to be sure what we're doing, and that's why if people are feeding stuff in an AI and they're getting stuff out of return, I don't trust it. I mean, there's in the legal side of it, there's that very famous case where an AI who did legal research on the behalf of an attorney was quoting cases that didn't even exist.
Right.
And if my life is hanging in balance on that, I don't want that happening. So it's you're right. It's coming. And I think we're going to see it, especially, because there's an arms race in this world, and that arms race is a very serious arms race. And you think about what's going on in wars these days when it's all about calculations. If you have a missile coming at a city, you want to have a computer that's advanced enough in calculations to send an interceptor missile up there and hit that. You think how fast a missile's going and how to be able to intersect 2 missiles at the same time. So the better AI you have, the better you're going to be at defending and at evading the defenses of others.
Right.
So it is an absolute race, and it's a scary race because as we're seeing with the drone swarms and stuff like that, that's happening in Ukraine, the warfare is changing. I mean, it's
fiber optic wire. They're fly by fiber optic wire, so they can't be jammed.
Yeah, it's crazy where we're going, and that is going to trickle down into local. But thankfully, in a place like Logan County, you know, the human element is the most important with all of us. I mean, we're small. We want to talk. You know, sometimes, you know, some of our deputies will get a call and like, man, I don't want to go all the way out there. And I said, but you know, that person wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
It's probably, you know, they might not talk to anybody in person all day and they have an issue, you know, you just go out there and talk to them. I mean, you know, and it's hard sometimes, I understand, but if a lady calls and she wants to report because a neighbor's dog keeps chasing her cat up a tree, go out there and do it. I mean, just go do it. Just, I mean, because, you know, that's people are, you know, we're all different and we have certain ways of doing things. So, you know, that's the great thing about a place like this is we're not automating. You know, a lot of big cities automate so much stuff. Heck, there's 911 systems that are using AI to, you know, to
route calls.
And man, we're not like that.
We got Glenn Parrish and who else works in?
Yeah, he's one of our part timers. Love Glenn. Love Glenn. He's pretty big on the memes right now regarding a certain Coldplay concert, but that's all I'm going to say.
That was mentioned in a sermon this morning.
In fact, I learned about that Coldplay incident by seeing one of Glenn's memes. I was like, what is he talking about? But but you know, 911, which is it's you know, the sheriff's office. We have the 911 center for Logan County. Now, Boonville and Paris have their own dispatchers, but all 911 calls come to the county, and then they're sent out to Boonville. That's one of the, I've got 911 dispatch. I have the jail. I have patrol out in unincorporated areas in a magazine, investigations unincorporated area and out magazine, and then we have like civil process, and then we also have court security. So we got a lot of branches. But modern day technologies kind of is actually hurt dispatch a lot because the fact that we're getting more calls. If there is a wreck, there could be a fender bender on the side of the road on Highway 10 west of Boonville. And in the old days, maybe you get one call from a neighbor because they went to the neighbor's house and got on his copper line landline and called in. I mean, we'll get 5 calls from people on their cell phones and you got 2 dispatchers. Or if it's really late at night and people on vacation, sick, it's dead week, and you know, people get with kids with sports and they're in Florida. Man, it's tough because now a dispatcher is getting call after call after call, and they're trying to dispatch the deputies, and they're trying to type all the stuff into our computer-aided dispatch system to log what's going on. So that part, and then you know we're going to get there soon where you'll be able to send you know videos and things like that too, and so, but that's where technology is kind of. But that's one of the reasons why I like having computers in our cars, because if the deputies can run traffic on their computers, that's less they have to get on the radio and call in and have a dispatcher do it. So a dispatcher can focus on other stuff, because our dispatchers not only do deputies, but they're doing ambulance and they're doing 16, 17 volunteer fire departments that are in Logan County too. And so, yeah, they get kind of busy in that dispatch center. That's a place. That's a very hard job. You got to multitask big time.
It's like a air traffic controller.
Yes. And then what's the hardest part too is they're hearing stuff going on that they really can't do anything about. You know, at least we're heading there, man. You know, we got our lights, a siren on, and we're heading there. But they're listening to someone suffering on the phone, and they're getting people there, but they're having to sit there and listen to it in real time while we got lights and sirens, we're heading. So it's a tough job. And we got good dispatchers, and they work really hard, and you know, just give them patience sometimes on big events, because you'd think if there's a massive event, how many phone calls our little dispatch center is going to get? We have 3 stations in there total, and just think about when there's a major event that
21,000 people in Logan County, and you have 3 people that have to. Yeah,
but you know, but based on volume,
right?
That works 99.9% of the time. It's just that one time that it doesn't. So, but you know, it's just something to think about. You know, our folks get busy.
Yeah, well, I say 21,000. It's 21,450 now, I think.
Yeah, something around there.
So what's one new initiative or improvement you would like to implement?
Well, it's hard for me to say that because I'm the incumbent, you know, and I'm not gonna get up there and tell people what I'm going to do. That's the deal. Let someone else do that, and they can get up there and say all they want to say. Of course, you know, they haven't been in my shoes, but I'm going to tell people about what we're doing. And our next thing is what we're talking about, a peer support specialist. We had a grant that we got through the guidance center, and that's run out. And so we're getting another grant, and we're going to kind of retool that to make that program more, not just in the jail, but outside of the jail to get these people in the rehab and make sure they're getting there. And that's our next big thing. We're working on that right now. There's a grant that the opioid that's just come out, the application for, and we're putting in for that right now. And so that's my big thing. We're just focusing more on this Pure Sport program and hopefully helping people get off drugs. I mean, that's our that's my next big focus. But and if we don't get grant money, we're going to find a way to do it no matter what. Right now, we have our Pure Sport specialist volunteer. She's coming in there for free because she wants to help people.
That's good.
You know, she has a job somewhere else, but she's coming in 2 days a week to help because she just wants to help people. And so it's getting hard now because a lot of these grants, if you haven't noticed, there's federal government's kind of cutting back on a lot of things right now, and
thanks to Doge.
Well, it's just, and it's understandable. I absolutely understand. I'm a conservative Republican, and I feel that the federal government has definitely spent way too much money on way too much stuff. But the problem is it's so big, they're just having to cut and see where things fall afterwards, and that's hitting a lot of people hard, with like the money with the Boys and Girls Club and things like that they're going through. And so we just have to look at that. Hopefully by the end, when they do, they're able to find out what needs to be and what doesn't need to be. And so I'm hoping that on the grant situation, but the good thing about it is I like where our federal government at is with law enforcement now. I felt like the past 4 years, it was different when it came to federal law enforcement. And I feel now that we're at a better position with them. I mean, there's some things definitely need to be fixed with that, but I believe that they're fixing them. But we have a pretty good relationship with our federal partners here. And the two big partners that we work with a lot is the DEA on drugs, and we work with the Homeland Security Department on internet pornography, and child pornography.
So who's the Homeland? Is that Christy Noem? Is that who's?
Yeah,
Homeland?
she's the Homeland Secretary. But they have some special agents in Fort Smith, out of Fort Smith office, that will take phones to or computers, and that's all they do is internet crimes against children, the child pornography stuff. So man, they help us out on so much on those things. And our DEA on big cases. I mean, we've got one that we're working that's pretty big, and hopefully it will come out later. But I'm absolutely on those. I'm good at working at. And so, but we just take it case by case.
I know you may not deal with them directly, but I'm curious to know your opinion on Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. What are your feelings on those guys at the head of justice and FBI?
Well, this is what I can say, and I mean this to the biggest extent, is it seems like before that the federal government was more after people, on small things. I mean, they were, even the FBI, their civil rights division, were going after a lot of law enforcement. And to me, it's ironic that when you have that, they'll look, say the Minneapolis Police Department up in Minnesota, they went after them, and they're trying to get a consent decree up there. You have a police department that's in a liberal state, with the liberal state government and a liberal city government. Why don't they fix it? Why does the federal government need to come into your liberal city and fix the policies that align with you? That's what I don't like. Sure. I think that that now with the federal government, man, the FBI and them, they're wanting to investigate crimes now.
Right.
Yeah. they're not wanting to go after this other stuff,
right.
And go pick on school boards or whoever about stuff like this. We need the FBI to be focusing on crime. We need counterterrorism. We need more federal agents to be starting to look at all this fraud.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm telling you, I am so tired of seeing all these fraud cases come in that we can't do anything about because the federal government says, hey, that's not enough money. Well, the actor's in another country. So how is Logan County Sheriff's Office supposed to get $20,000 back for this person? That's not enough money for the federal government to go after. There's plenty of things that the federal government can help us in if they can get people redirected for what they need to be redirected on. This fraud's a big thing because it's so international, and there's not much we can do. We don't, that we can do.
We can't send a deputy to Pakistan or India to work on a case.
Yes, and I'm telling you, that's where most of this comes from. It might seem local, but it's not.
Right.
Because they're getting AI now that can mimic people's voices.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of some dude from Pakistan calling you up, you're getting people that are sounding with accents from around here, and they're not real.
They can now take somebody, they can take 6 seconds of somebody's voice. So they can call you, get 6 seconds of your voice, and then they can use AI to recreate that, make a phone call to someone. So there was a particular scenario where a man, he happened to be I think he was an attorney, and his daughter called and said, "Dad, I'm in trouble. I'm being held hostage. They want money." And he said, "Okay, where do we send the money, and who is it?" And they said, "Well," and it was his daughter's number that called him. Luckily, he had the forethought to say, "Okay, let me call you right back." He hung up, and he immediately called his daughter back. And she didn't know anything about it. It was somebody that had gotten her voice and spoofed her number that was trying to steal money from this guy.
And I'm hopeful the people that are listening to this understands that exactly. You got to remember, especially for our older folks, is older folks have a lot of records that are public. You know, land records, just records on marriage, records on children that are public. It is very easy for someone to get online, and you can go to one of these major places like Experian or one of these background places, pay $50 a month, and you can find a wealth of information somewhere. So they look at that. They look at that and say, okay, they get to know, and then they make calls, and they seem so familiar, and they can use stuff from that background check to fool people, and they can spoof numbers. I mean, our sheriff's office number has been spoofed so many times where it looks like the call's from us, but it's not. And now, I mean, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, there was that article the other day that someone had an AI use AI to mimic his voice, and it called other foreign leaders and fooled them.
It was video.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that.
It was a video call.
So that's, man, I'm telling you, it's getting scary. What I tell our citizens out there, you just got to double check. You have got. If someone calls you up and says, "Hey, you owe money," or a deputy's coming to arrest you, or federal's coming to arrest you, or even if they know intimate details about you, man, hang up and call others or call wherever to verify. Don't that, because one of the biggest things they like to do is keep you on the phone. Oh man, if you hang up on me, you know, then you're definitely going to jail, or your daughter's going to jail. That warrant's coming, or I'm calling. No, I mean, hang up and verify before you give anybody money.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of that in here. It's all across the country, but there's a lot of folks here giving up money.
And that's the thing is the IRS, Social Security Administration, the Logan County Sheriff's Office, the county of Logan County proper, none of them are going to want you to pay them over the phone. They're not going to call you saying you got to pay us now. They're going to say, go online and pay it, come to the office and pay it. You know, if you have fines or whatever, or if you have a fine you didn't know about, you're probably going to get a knock on the door before you get a phone call.
Yes. On our website, it's loganso.com, we have where you can make felony or misdemeanor fine payments online. So you can go to the website and do it. Or, I mean, if you're feeling, you're feeling a little, just go to one of the offices. You know, they're the district courts and the circuit court. You go to the one here in Boonville, over there behind the Boonville Police Department, where our office is at, that we share with district court. Or go to our main office in Paris. I mean, if you feel that much, then just do it that way. Or call our main number and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But if we call you, just say, look, I'm going to hang up, and I've got a friend, and lie to them. Hey, I got a friend who works out the office. I'm going to call her real quickly. Yeah. And then hang up, and then just do a phone call, and they'll leave you alone. But man, it is scary where we're getting. That's the bad part about technology, and we can't tell our citizens enough that you have got to be you have to scrutinize everything.
Yeah, you can't believe anything you see now. You can't. That's what I tell people. You can't believe anything on the internet that you see. You need to corroborate it from at least 3 sources. And if it's anything major, wait 24 hours before you say anything about it, because that's kind of the what is it called, the gestational period for a story before the truth really comes out, if it's a fake story. So it's scary, the things that technology can do now. But I'm glad that we have folks that are keeping up with it on the law enforcement side. Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about? I've held you here for almost an hour and a half. So
no. It's no problem, and I enjoy being here. I'm always open if anybody needs to come talk to me, if there's something we need to look at, or it's an evolving world, and it's changing quickly. But we live in a beautiful county. We have a lot of good people here, and I hope that people. And we got this beautiful mountain. We got 2 national forests. I was talking to we have a new person in our Sunday school class, and we were talking about that 2 national forests here, which is I think the only county that has 2 national forests. Man, river. We got Blue Mountain Lake, a Mountain Magazine. Man, it's a nice place. We've got Fort Smith on one side of us. We got Russellville. You can go that way and jump and head to Little Rock on the other. We're kind of like right in the middle. It's a good place to be at. And I think we're getting people moving in, and I hope more people see that. I always want to promote Logan County. I always try to promote this county. I'm not from Logan County. I mean, I moved in here, or we moved in here, brought our 5 kids with us, put them through school here. Got one in college now. I got another one about to go to college. I got one about to join the Air Guard. And man, we just love it here. I mean, and so, we made a conscious decision to move here, to raise our kids here, and grow them up here because this is the county that we trust. And it's an education systems in this county that we trust. It's churches in this county we trust. It's people we trust. So hopefully that more and more people will see that. I don't want us to get too big, but, I see this as a place that as Fort Smith and Fort Chaffee start growing out, I can see this as someday being a pretty big bedroom community as people expand out.
Sure.
And so, it's, and I think they'll like what they're seeing here.
Well, thanks for coming on. And I for one, am really glad that we have folks like you.
Hey, I appreciate it, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you.